Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk Business. I am your host, Rick Jenkins, and appreciate you joining us, whether you're listening on the radio 94.5 or catching a podcast or watching the video on YouTube. Regardless of how you're joining us today, I appreciate it. Our first guest today is David Benner. David is the area president for FocusCFO. FocusCFO is a company that provides fractional executive services in the form of chief financial officers for small companies. David, welcome.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Well, it is good to have you, bud. You are the area president for FocusCFO, and I just want to be clear that the area that we're talking about is the Upstate of South Carolina,
That's
right?
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And how long have you been with the company? It's not been very long, right?
Not very long. Just a few months starting this year.
Right. Okay. And before we get too deep into this, I'm going to talk about what fractional services are.
Okay.
And before I get into that, a couple episodes ago, and I know you know this guy, Bill Simmons joined us. Bill is the CEO at Thrive Business Operations, and his company provides fractional COOs, Chief Operating Officers. And so we have had someone on here already talking about this, but fractional executives are basically exactly what it says. An executive, a company may not need a full-time executive in that capacity. They may need a fractional one, which might mean 1 day a week or 2 days a week, correct?
That is correct, Rick.
So you and Bill have companies that provide the same type of fractional services. Now, it strikes me, and I told Bill this, and I want to talk to you about it. It strikes me that fractional services have become way, way more popular over the last several years. I don't know how long, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Don't know what that is. All I do know is that there was a time when I didn't hear about it much, and now I hear about it all the time. Why is that?
Well, Rick, I believe it's due to maybe staffing issues, but I also believe the need that owners and CEOs look outside of themselves and take advantage of what other people are providing. I came across it probably 6 or 7 years ago in my own company where we utilized outsourced COO and then a CEO that came in. Now, we didn't call them fractional at the time,
right?
But that's basically what it was.
Right. Well, I think nowadays that companies are always looking to save a buck, right? I mean, times are tough. You always have to look for the health of your company and ways to do things cheaper. And I suppose that a fractional executive could be the answer for some. What type of companies are we talking about? Not necessarily industry. That's not so much what I'm talking about, but size of companies.
Size of companies. And you're correct. Industry really doesn't matter. It could be service, nonprofit, for-profit, manufacturing.
Right.
And those sizes could be, we'll talk revenue, maybe from the scale of 2 to 4 million up to 20, as much as 50 million.
Right.
These are companies where they are experiencing some maybe profitability, maybe cash flow issues. Growth will create cash issues. And they'll see a need to help look at the things in the financial aspect of the company.
Right. So if a CEO may decide that, what are the reasons that he or she may look for a fractional exec? one is I need to save money. I'm paying this person by the time you count benefits and insurance and all that kind of stuff. I'm paying $200,000 and I just can't afford that, right? So part of it is driven by pure money, but there are other factors as well.
There are other factors. And usually I would say we start on the scale where they don't have a CFO or haven't even considered a CFO. It's where they're doing it themselves. These are owners who are embedded themselves daily and looking for assistance. Something has triggered it. Maybe they're looking to exit in the future. Maybe they're having some cash flow, like we said, or they've gotten some advice. Maybe their CPA has advised them that, hey, you need some additional forward looking. We're helping you in this area. Let's look at how to analyze this information.
Right.
And so they look outsourced for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't think of it in those terms. It could be that the CEO is so busy that he or she can't do the things that are important within their company because they are having to do billing and invoicing and all that kind of stuff, logistical nightmares. That maybe they're at the point where if they invest in a fractional person, then they can drive sales within the company.
That's exactly right. I like to use the analogy of a vehicle where this owner is in the vehicle with his hands on the wheel, and we're not coming into the vehicle and taking over. A CFO is going to sit in the passenger seat, allow him to be free to quit looking at all the gauges, rely on them being accurately, and look out the window and and maybe help button up some of the performance aspects of his reporting systems in the financial area and analyzing those and knowing how to make better decisions going forward.
I like that analogy. So, keeping with that, then a CFO can sit there, maybe can provide direction, right? You're not driving, but you can provide some direction.
That's right.
From the passenger seat of the car. How many CFOs do you have, Dave?
Well, FocusCFO has about 120 CFOs at the moment, and that's in 20 states. 13 states, 20 markets. In the area here, we have 5 CFOs currently looking for some additional CFOs.
Yeah. Okay.
And these are guys, gals that are maybe in their second career. They may want to not retire, but continue doing what they're good at.
Right.
Maybe want to provide that service to others. Look at the freedom of doing it in different areas and different industries.
Yeah. So what are the options? Let's say that I decide, I'm a CEO, and I decide that, I need a money guy. And I come to you and I sit down and we start talking about that. What are my options? I'm assuming do you look at it in terms of days per week or hours per month, or what does that look like?
That's a great question. Really what I do is to spend time with them and just get to know them and learn more of their business and build a relationship with them and see, Rick, I may be able to bring them a service that we're not even providing. It's what's the right answer for them. Mm-hmm. Now, if it falls into the area of what we can provide, it may look like, is his foundational financial situation buttoned up, right? He may need some assistance there, or he may be needing to be a little more healthy in how he reports, what he measures, what he does with that information, how his relationship is with his trusted advisors, such as the bank, the attorney, his CPA. Also, if he wants to grow and add more value. So that would look like us just listening and finding out maybe what his concerns are in those areas.
Right.
If his concern is, or her concern may be profitability or cash flow situations, that's really where we're going to focus. We're not going to come in and say, well, we're going to provide these 12 items and we're going to do this. Now, 80% of our engagements are 1 day a week. Some are half a day a week. We have a few situations where we're 2 days a week. And that's an embedded CFO. We'll come in not as a consultant where, I've used consultants in the past. They observe and advise, and that's been helpful. But ours is embedded. Our CFOs will come in, work alongside you, we'll say 1 day a week, in your office, in the strategy time.
Tell me what it looks like. You get a call from a CEO and he or she says, you know what, I think I might need someone. Don't know exactly what I need, but you're going to get together with them, and I would assume you're going to do some fact finding to begin with. What's that look like?
That looks like me asking them a few questions and then kind of focusing in and repeating back to make sure I'm clear as to what they see as a concern. We have a little pre-meeting questionnaire that kind of walks them through self-evaluating kind of where they are in that growth area. That lets me identify some of the key areas. The next step would be we would bring in, I'd match up with one of the CFOs. We'd come in and meet with them and their strategic team, get a little deeper, maybe dig a little bit more and see where they want to go with this. What does success look like in, say, 6 months to a year?
Yeah.
And there's no charge for that. Well, that's a free assessment. We want to make sure it's the right fit for them as well as for us.
You say fit, and I didn't think about this till just now, but it also has to be a fit between the fractional executive and the CEO.
That's exactly
right. Because it's
vital.
But if you're interviewing someone, right, and if I am interviewing someone to take this job, I'm going to make sure that that's a good fit for me, personality-wise.
Absolutely.
So if it's a fractional person, you might bring in somebody, and it might not be the right person, right?
That's correct. We have had that situation, and we would look at bringing someone else in. Doesn't happen often, but you're correct. Chemistry, culture needs to be a fit in both directions. This CEO, this owner needs to feel good about this relationship. Now, we as the area president stay involved over time, but it's primarily that CFO that's there on a continual basis.
So you would make the connection, you would get it started off, and then I would assume you're contracting with these people, these CFOs?
It's actually month to month. We don't do a contract,
okay.
Which, you know what that means, Rick? We've got to come in and add value, and add value quickly. A lot of I said 80% are 1 day a week. The majority of those range 3 to 5 years continual. Right. A good exit is where an owner and a CEO finds their own CFO. They're at a point where it makes sense, or maybe they're exiting. Maybe they're selling it. And so that's a good, let's stop using FocusCFO.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I did not expect you to hear you say that. You're saying that you do not enter into a contract with the people who want your services.
That's
you go
correct.
month to month.
That's correct.
So they come to you, you go in, you sit down, you take someone over that you think might be a good fit, one of your CFOs. You sit down, they say, all right, let's use this person 1 day a week. And at the end of that month, if they want to go their own way, they're going their own way.
That is correct. Yeah. So you know what that means? That CFO and I have to add value quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
And we believe that we can, if we're not going to engage unless we feel it's a fit and we can add value.
David, really good stuff.
Well, I've enjoyed it. And I want to tell you, the previous episodes that I've watched, I've learned a lot.
Good.
I look forward to the future featured speakers. Okay. And I appreciate you putting all this together.
Well, David, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you being here, folks. That is David Benner. He is the area president for FocusCFO. And don't go anywhere, though. We're going to take a quick break, only about 30 seconds, and we will be back with our next guest. See you soon.